Today we are starting a new math topic called multiplying and dividing integers. So we're going to take those positive and those negative numbers, no fractions or decimals, and we're going to multiply and divide them, but this time we're going to incorporate some of those negative numbers. So what I would like for you to do first is open up your math journal to your table of contents and make this journal entry in the table of contents, multiplying and dividing integers. And I want you to use whatever page number you're currently on in your notebook. So I put page X, where the number X stands for that unknown. It's a variable. I don't know what page number you're on, so just go ahead and fill that in. Okay, and if you need a second, go ahead and pause the video to get that done, and then you may press play again when you're ready for the notes. So you should have been given this notes page, okay, and you have one side for multiplying integers and one side for dividing integers. We're going to fill this out, and then once we're finished filling this out, you will glue this into your math journal. So I really think that multiplying and dividing integers is way simpler than adding and subtracting the integers, or even adding and subtracting fractions and decimals. Let's start with the rules for multiplying integers. The rules for multiplying integers, the first thing I want you to do is write this down. Step 1 is to multiply the numbers. Okay, so whatever the numbers are, you're just simply going to multiply those first. Okay, then the second thing you're going to do is go back and look at the signs. Okay, so this is where it's going to become different. And it's much different than adding and subtracting. So if the signs are the same, the answer is going to equal a positive. So this means that if you have a positive number times a positive number, it's going to equal a positive number. Actually, you know what? I'm going to write this out because it'll take up less space. But I do want you to write all this down. So, again, if I have, and we know this, right? We know that if we multiply two positive numbers, it's going to equal a positive. This is what you guys have been doing since 3rd grade when you learned to multiply, okay? So a positive times a positive equals a positive. And those actually look like T's, so let's change them. I'm sorry to do that to you guys. Let's do this. A positive times a positive equals a positive. Okay, now opposite of that is that if I have two negative numbers, let's say -3 times -5, okay? They're both negatives, but the signs are the same. It's still going to equal a positive, okay? So if the signs match, that's a good thing. It's going to equal a positive, okay? So two positives make a positive, and a negative times a negative equals a positive as well, okay? So now, if the signs are different, so now we're going to talk about when signs are different, it always equals a negative. Okay, it does not matter which one's larger, which one's smaller. If the signs are different, it's a negative answer. Okay, so I could have a positive number times a negative number, and since they're different, it's going to equal a negative. Okay, or my negative number could come first, and I could have a negative number times a positive number equals a negative. Okay, so I do think this is much simpler because you're just multiplying and dividing like you normally know how, and then you just go back and look at the signs. Okay, so I have some examples here for us to do. I want you to write these down as we go. The first one's pretty basic. I have 3 times 3. Sorry, my computer's glitching there. Okay, so 3 times 3. So I would multiply the numbers. So 3 times 3 equals 9. And then go back and look at the signs. This first one's a positive, and the second number is a positive, so therefore my answer stays a positive. Okay, our next example, I have -6 times -3. So first I'm just going to multiply 6 times 3, which equals 18. Okay, then I'm going to go back and look at the signs. I have a negative number first and a negative number second. So since the signs are the same, they match, my answer is going to be a positive. Okay, next one. I want you to write this down. -7 times +5. So again, at first, I'm just simply multiplying 7 times 5, 35. And then I'm going to go back and look at the signs. Well, this one's a negative. The 7's a -7, but the 5 is positive. So they have two different signs. This is going to make our answer become a negative. All right, very last one on this side. Here we go. We have 4 times -2. So multiply your numbers together first. 4 times 2 equals 8. Then go back. I have +4 and -2. Since those are different, they don't match. That's a negative. Okay, so now we're going to talk about dividing. And if you thought multiplying was pretty simple, then dividing should be too. So what I'm going to actually do is just copy these rules, and I'm going to paste them over on the division side. Oh man, that didn't work as nicely as I wanted it to. We're just going to go back here, and I'm just going to change number 1 to say divide the numbers. And everything else is the same. So once I divide the numbers, I just go back and look. If the signs are the same, it's a positive. So still that positive times a positive, or no. Positive divided by a positive equals a positive. Okay, so they're the same exact rules, just this time we're dividing instead of multiplying. So then if I had a negative number divided by another negative number, since the signs are the same, it's going to equal a positive. Okay, but if I have different signs, so if the first number is a positive and the second number is a negative, that's going to equal a negative. Okay, or if the negative number comes first and the positive number is second, that's still going to equal a negative. Okay, so overall, just recapping, multiplying and dividing integers. You would multiply and divide like normal. Check the signs. If the signs are the same and they match, that's a good thing. They're positive. Okay, if you check the signs and they're different, that's a bad thing. They're negative. Okay, let's do a couple dividing integers. If you look at the first one, this is pretty basic. Positive 16 divided by 4, so that equals 4. And this is division like you know it. A positive divided by a positive, they have the same sign, so the answer is a positive. Okay, the next one, negative 15 divided by negative 3. And this sign right here, if you want to, you can make a little note off to the side here. This means to divide. Okay, so you won't see this too often, but if you do see it, you need to know that that means division. Okay, so 3 goes into, I'm just going to do the basic division. 3 goes into 15 5 times. Go back and look. I have a negative and a negative. Since they're the same, our answer is a positive. Okay, next one. Here's another way to see a division question. I have negative 24 divided by 4. So we're going to do some basic division here. 24 divided by 4 equals 6. And then I'm going to go back and look at my signs. I have a negative number divided by a positive number. So since their signs are different, they do not match. That's not a good thing. We get negative 6. Okay, last one. Here we go. We have 45 divided by negative 9. So do your basic division. 45 divided by 9. 9 goes in there 5 times. Okay, and then I'm checking their signs. The 45 is positive and the 9 is negative, so they're different. This equals a negative. All right, so I want you to make sure that you do have multiplying and dividing integers in your table of contents. And then I also want you to make sure to cut out this foldable on the bold outline. So it's going to make one giant rectangle. You need to cut out this whole thing. And then you can also make a cut on this dotted line, so that'll allow you to fold the papers up and down. And then make sure this gets taped into your math notebook. You don't want to lose this because this is what you're going to be able to use on your quiz for help. Okay? And then once that is finished, I need you to go grab this entrance/exit ticket. And I want you to fill this out. Okay, so I want you to write down one thing that you think is easy about multiplying and dividing integers. So why do you think this is going to be easier, say, than subtracting and adding integers? Okay, and then also try to think of one question you still have about multiplying and dividing integers and write it down. And this way I can address like any questions that you have much sooner. Okay, and then below that, I have a couple questions for you to do. The top row has to do with all multiplying, and then the bottom row is all division. So make sure that you're trying to use those rules that we just talked about to answer these questions. All right, and that's it. Please see your teacher if you have any other questions about the video, or if you need help getting this into your math notebook. Otherwise, we'll talk to you next time.